What is up, guys? This is Brett here from brettdev.com and welcome back to the channel. Now, it's been a while since I've uploaded a video, and this video is not about why I've been away. Really didn't want to make a why I'm back video. They're kind of boring. Nobody really cares why I've been away. But if you do care, I am going to go and leave a post inside of my community that kind of details my absence. You can check that out. However, today, the topic of this video is the new digital nomad visa, which is actually called the Destination Thailand Visa, but people are calling it the digital nomad visa for some reason. And this is not to be confused, by the way, with the old smart visa, which I've made videos about before on this channel. I think I've mentioned in other videos. The old smart visa was coined the digital nomad visa. I think it came out in around 2018, and everyone was saying it's digital nomad visa, but it really wasn't. It was just for like high-tech professionals and things like that. But this is the new one. This is 2024. And yes, this was announced several months back, and there was lots and lots of talk about this, but I really didn't want to make a video about it until it kind of came to fruition and until people started actually applying for it and getting it. Because up until that point, it was all speculation. And as you know, in Thailand, there is a lot of speculation about a lot of stuff that never comes true. So rather than make a video, I thought I'd wait and start talking about it when it actually went live. Now, just a quick disclaimer. This is not legal advice, okay? All this video is I've gone away, I've done my research, I've spoken to people who have applied for it, who have got it, and all that stuff. But anything that I say in this video, do not take like for gospel, okay? You need to do your own research. You need to check out everything that I'm saying, because some of the stuff I say could be true today, it could be wrong tomorrow, or it could just be false altogether, just based on I've heard false stuff. But I've tried to be as accurate as possible with this information. But like I said, this is not visa advice. I am not giving you visa advice. You should always consult a visa agent or a legal professional or whatever, or the embassy, especially when you are applying for a Thai visa. Okay, so what is this new digital nomad visa? Okay, so this is basically a brand new visa that Thailand have come out with, and it is targeting digital nomads, remote workers, and freelancers. Now, what this visa does is it allows you to stay in Thailand for up to 5 years. Okay, now we'll get into that in just a sec, because it's not a 5-year straight period. But what it also allows you to do is it allows for a spouse or a dependent of a DTV. We'll call it DTV visa because it's not the digital nomad visa. It's the Destination Thailand Visa. Okay, so we'll try to call it DTV going forward. But it allows the spouse or a dependent of a DTV visa to be able to apply for their own visas as well. So if you're here and your wife is here and your kids are here and you've got a digital nomad, a DTV visa, they too, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to keep calling it digital nomad visa. They too are going to be able to apply for their own version of this so they can stay in the country with you. So it's good for families as well, okay? Another demographic that this DTV visa is being aimed at is people who are participating in different activities, okay? That's why I think it's called the Destination Thailand Visa. It's not just for digital nomads. It's for Muay Thai courses, Thai cooking classes, sports training, medical treatment, seminars, music festivals, all of the kind of gaps that previously they said you couldn't participate in under a tourist visa. I know traditionally if you wanted to do Muay Thai in Thailand, for example, you'd have to get some kind of education visa and it would be done under the banner of that. For music festivals or events like seminars, there was no real clear visa. I mean, they said you can't attend seminars on a tourist visa. People are like, what visa do I get to go to a seminar? Because it's kind of like work related and things like that. So it looks like this DTV visa is kind of filling in the gaps, not just for digital nomads, remote workers and freelancers who it's primarily aimed at, but for all those other demographics as well, all those different activities, okay? Now, like I said, this is a 5-year visa. So once it's issued to you, it is valid for 5 years. However, it is what's called a multiple entry visa. Now, the way multiple entry visas typically work is they've had multiple entry visas like forever and a day, and they've had single entry visas. Basically, how many times you can enter the country. So with a multiple entry visa, that means you can go in and out the country as many times as you like. And the way they typically work is as soon as you leave the country, when you come back in, you get a new stamp. Okay, so with this DTV visa, you get a pass, basically a stamp that allows you to stay in Thailand for 180 days. Okay, if you're doing a multi-entry tourist visa, for example, you'd get a stamp that allows you to stay for 60 days. A multi-entry tourist visa is valid for like 6 months, I believe, but you can go in and out, and every time you come back in, you get a new 60-day stamp, so it kind of resets. Same story, right? The Destination Thailand Visa is a 180-day stamp, and you can go in and out in that 5 years, and you get 180 days. Now, you can do an extension on top of this visa. This is where a lot of people are getting confused about stuff, where basically if you've been here for 180 days and it's about to expire, rather than leaving the country, you can go to your local immigration office, you can fill in a form, pay an extension fee, I think it's about 1,900 baht, and they will basically slap another 180 days on top of your existing 180, so you don't have to leave the country. Now, one thing to note, this can only be done one time. Okay, so in that 5-year period, whilst your 5-year DTV visa is valid, you can only do one extension. So regardless, if you want to get the DTV visa and you intend to stay in Thailand for the full 5 years that it's valid, you will be doing a lot of trips in and out of the country, okay? Because as soon as you hit those 180 days, you're going to have to then exit and come back in to get a fresh 180 days. So that's going to be 9 times or something like that throughout the course of the 5 years. You're going to have to go in and out. Typically, it's fine because, if you're staying here, most people like to go home and visit family every 6 months to a year or something like that. And, you don't necessarily have to fly all the way to your home country. I don't think you can, you could go to like Vietnam or a neighboring country like Laos or something like that, come back in, go for a little break, have a little trip, a few days. Another important thing to consider about this visa is because it's a long-term visa, with all long-term visas in Thailand, be that education, marriage, retirement, or anything that's kind of like more than a 60-day tourist visa, you have to complete what is called a TM47 document, which is basically a notification form that tells Thai immigration that you intend to stay in Thailand for longer than 90 days. Okay, a lot of expats call this the 90-day report. And essentially what that means is every 90 days, or when you're coming up close to your 90 days, I think you can do it 2 weeks prior to the 90-day cutoff, you have to go to immigration and you have to essentially fill out a form and you have to tell them that you plan on staying in Thailand longer than 90 days. Okay, so this is like, think of it as layers. Like you've got your 5-year visa, which is valid for 5 years. You've got to be in and out the country every 180 days, or doing an extension, which you're going to do once. And then layered on top of that, you've got your 90-day reports that you also have to do. Now, these are really, really easy to do. Some immigrations even have like drive-through windows where you just drive through, you give them your passport, they stick it in a computer, give it back to you, and you're on your way. You can also do it, I believe, online. I believe they do have an app where you can do your 90-day report, so you don't have to go to immigration every 90 days. However, that said, I have heard that the first time that you do it, you do actually need to go to immigration physically. So do not forget that. If you're going to be getting this visa, you will be having to do 90-day reports as well. And if you don't do the 90-day report, you'll basically get a fine for not doing it. Okay, so I would strongly suggest that you can look all this up. I'll probably put some links down below in the description as well that will help you with some of this stuff. How do you apply for this visa? Who can apply for it? How do you get it? What are the requirements? Well, this visa is now actively being issued. Okay, there are people inside of my free online community Nomad School that are actively applying for it, and there are people in there who have actively applied and who have actively received it. Okay, now if you want to go in there, if you want to chat to those people or see the conversation, then you can head on over to nomadschool.com. I'll also leave a link down in the description, but there are several reports just in my community alone of people that actually have this visa, and there are people that have got it from all different types of embassies, from Spain, the UK, and other places. Okay, so I would strongly recommend you go into the community and you start speaking to people if this is something that you're interested in, and if you want to see kind of other people's experience and how easy or not easy it was for them to get it. Okay, Now, like I said, people are getting it, and it's also listed on the Thailand e-visa website. Okay, you go to thaievisa.go.th, and you'll see it right there on the website. All you need to do is scroll down on the homepage, and you'll see Destination Thailand Visa. You can click in there, it'll give you requirements and some information in there, and you can actually apply for it directly through the e-visa website. Now, to apply, what you're going to need, there are some, like, I'll say stiff requirements, but they're not really that stiff considering it's a 5-year visa, okay? Previously, people would have had to have got the elite visa. You would have had to, there weren't really many options. You would have had to get a marriage visa, a retirement visa, or just mess about like a lot of people do, trying to get education visas, tourist visas, going in and out, worrying if they're going to get denied at the border and all this stuff. That was the only option that was available to you really previously. So this is fantastic. And considering the requirements aren't really that much, I mean, it's a 5-year visa. So the first thing is you do need a proof of income. Okay, so you need to prove you need to have at least 500,000 Thai baht. You need to show it in an account. Now that's roughly around $15,000, or it's around £11,500. Now you can show this on bank statements, and or it says like pay slips, sponsorship letters. But typically, the immigration want to see your bank statements. They want you to show it in their bank account. Now there are specifics. People are asking questions like, "Can I show it? It's in an investment account," and things like that. I'm not entirely sure. You would have to check with the embassy that you're applying with, but that's the main requirement. They want to see at least 500,000 baht in an account or the equivalent. Now, the second requirement that they need is documentation for your purpose of visit. And they are calling this, there's two different things. You know, there's like activities, like I mentioned, there's like doing Muay Thai or medical or something like that. And then there's another, what the main target demographic is, which they're calling it a workcation. Right? So if you're applying as a freelancer, as a digital nomad, as a remote worker, then this is going to apply to you. And essentially what they're looking for alongside that proof of, that you have 500K in baht in your bank account, is an employment contract or an employment certificate outside of Thailand. So this would apply to you if you're a remote worker. If you've got a job like in the UK or the US and you want to work remotely, then they just need to see your employment certificate. Or if you are applying as a freelancer, now this is really interesting. They want to see a professional portfolio showcasing digital nomad or freelancer status. Okay, so this is, like I said, this is interesting. I've got some notes here on my computer. So the professional portfolio requirement for Thailand's digital nomad, I'll get my words out. The professional portfolio requirement for Thailand's DTV aims to provide that you are actively working in a digital, remote, or freelancing capacity, all right? So this could include a variety of documentation depending on your work setup. Because, if you're a freelancer, you're in the gig economy, you don't really have a letter of employment or a contract. So, but it seems to be the case that this might be proof of Upwork, Freelancer, or another freelancing profile showing your job history, reviews, and that you're actually getting paid, that you're actually doing freelancing. Okay, so what's amazing is you could apply for this even if you're just like an Upwork freelancer, even if you do something on Fiverr, if you do something online, as long as you're actively doing it and you're actively getting paid and you have a record of being doing it, then that will suffice as the freelancer category. Okay, like I said, for remote workers, you're going to just need a letter of employment, which is pretty easy, right? And that could be like pay slips, letters from your employers. They just want to know that you actually do have a remote job, or they just want to know that you are actually freelancing. And for business owners, if you just run a business, maybe you're not a freelancer or you're not employed, you're just going to need to provide proof of company ownership, a website, and other documents that show your professional standing and income sources. So if you have a business outside of Thailand, then you too can apply for this visa. Pretty good visa if you're a business owner, and you just need to basically prove you have a business that's making a bit of dough, and you've got the money in the bank that is the initial requirement, the 500K. Now, one thing I have noticed during researching this video is that it seems to be that different embassies are requiring different things. Okay, so when you apply for a visa like this, you'll go to your Thai embassy, and there are Thai embassies all over the world. There'll be a Thai embassy in London, there'll be a Thai embassy in Washington, and that's where you will apply for the visa. Or you'll do it online through the e-visa website, but I'm pretty sure when you do it online for the e-visa, it still gets issued from your current embassy, okay? So depending on where you're applying from, it can make a difference, and different embassies have different requirements. Okay, so I would look into that. I'd first try doing it through the Thai e-visa website, and like I said, if you're going to do it at an embassy, some are saying, I've heard reports that some are saying, that the fee for the visa is even higher than what it's supposed to be, or the how they scrutinize your documents is going to be higher, if that makes sense. Yeah, so one embassy might be like, okay, you show me your Upwork profile, you've got the money in the bank, that's fine. Another embassy might be like, oh, you've shown me your Upwork profile, this isn't enough. So it is going to depend on where you're applying, okay? So that's for the workcation requirement, the proof of documentation. For the activities, they would need proof of confirmation to attend the activity, or a letter of appointment. Say if you're coming here for hospital or medical or something like that, they will need proof of that. So that's pretty straightforward. There's also other requirements which are just kind of standard with every visa that you apply for, like your passport, your photograph, your document indicating your current location, so like a bank statement from your home country to show that you actually do have a home address where you're applying from in your home country. And those are pretty standard, right? Those you have to apply for when you apply for any visa. Now, the Thai embassy, if you want to know all the specific requirements, they do have a really cool and helpful infographic, which I'm going to link right here on the screen. So hopefully you can see that. But what I'll also do is I will link to that down below. So you can actually just click that. You can go and see it. And they've got this really nice graphic that kind of like lays out everything that you need to apply for this DTV visa. I do have some experience dealing with this website. Okay. I've known lots of people that have gone through the website. I've seen how it works. And they're actually really, really good. If you have any inquiries, you can email them. They come back to you pretty quick within like a couple of days, in my experience. And the way it typically works is you'll go on there, you'll register an account, you'll fill out your form, and you'll fill in all the information they require. You'll hit submit, you'll make a payment, and then that's it. You've done it. You've applied for the visa. Now, if they need any documentation, because I remember I had a friend who was applying for a visa before, and some of the documentation that they said they needed, there was no form to upload it and stuff like that. So you can submit it anyway. And what they would typically do is they will email you if they need any additional documents. Okay, so it's a pretty straightforward process. Like I say, it's thaivisa.go.th. And again, link will be down below. But you can just fill it in. You can apply. And like I say, if they need anything, they will ask you. Now, before I wrap this video up, I just want to kind of share my thoughts on this, and I want to address some kind of like common questions that I think a lot of you guys are going to have in relation to this visa. Now, the first big one is, does it allow you to work in Thailand? And the answer is no. It doesn't allow you to work in Thailand, like physically in the country. And whilst it doesn't explicitly state that you can work as a freelancer, as a digital nomad, as a remote worker, it's kind of implied that that's what you're going to be doing, right? It's literally in there, marketing for it. Okay, so what I'm gathering is legally, Thailand's grey sometimes, but I'm pretty confident if you have this visa, you're not going to have any issues working online, running your business that's back home, working for your company that's back in America or the UK or wherever you're from, or freelancing online and getting your money that way. This is kind of what it was designed for, okay? But like I say, it does not give you a work permit. You cannot actually work in Thailand. Like you can't go and be a bartender or wait tables or become a, Uber Grab driver, okay? Those laws, to do that, you need a work permit. There are laws in place that protect Thais from foreigners taking their jobs, which I think are good. And this visa does not allow you to do that. It does not allow you to work in Thailand. Another question I thought you guys might have is, what happens if your work situation changes during the 5-year visa? Because this is 5 years. You might have a remote job and then you might lose your remote job or something like that. Or you might have a business in your home country and then it might fail. Now, normally, if that happens, you're not going to have any money, right? So you'll probably just go home anyway. So it won't really matter, okay, if you run out of money or, but maybe you lose your job, but you've got a lot of savings. And a lot of people are concerned, it's like, well, you could have tens of thousands in your bank account, lose your job, but then does that mean you have to leave the country even though you have enough money to stay here? Well, people aren't really sure about that. There is speculation that, you know, there might be a yearly check or something like that, but nothing like that is explicitly stated. And typically with visas, once it's issued, they don't normally revoke them, right? So again, that's just pure speculation, okay? So I would be careful what you read online. A lot of people going, oh, they're going to check us. It's like, they've never said they're going to check you or anything like that. But you never know. Something could happen. They could do a yearly check when you do your 90-day report. Who knows? Right now, that's kind of a bit of a grey unknown. And like I said, this is a brand new visa. So there are a lot of unknowns that we don't really know about. There is no history. There's no track record with it. So do just bear that in mind when you're applying for it. And like I said at the start of the video, this is not legal advice, okay? You should always consult a legal professional. You should always consult the embassy before you apply for a visa, especially, you know, if you have questions, ask, be sure. Don't get your advice from me. I'm trying to give you an overview. I've done my research so you don't have to. But when it actually comes down to applying, talk to the embassy, get information direct from the source, okay? Don't listen to YouTubers, okay? We're trying to help you out a bit, but we're not, you know, this isn't official advice in any capacity. Overall, I think this is awesome, man. I mean, people have been waiting for this for decades, pretty much. There's been people here working online for the past 20 years, jumping through hoops, and I think this is just really, really long overdue, and I'm really happy that they've introduced it. There are even people in my community nomad school that are saying, well, I'd get it now because who knows how long it's going to last. And again, you never know, right? They could pull it. Thailand are known for doing things like that. So if you are interested in it, I do think that's good advice to get it now whilst you can. And it seems like a great visa. I mean, 5 years, 180 days. You only got to leave the country every 180 days. You got to do your 90-day report, but everyone does a 90-day report. And yeah, it's long overdue. It's excellent. I'm so glad they've done it. It's going to help so many different people out. And yeah, if you want more information, if you know, like I said, there are people in my community that do actually have this visa, that have applied, have done it successfully, have gone through the process. If you would like to chat and get involved in the discussion, then head on over to nomadschool.com. I'll leave a link for it right here. And if you like this video and you want to see more, then make sure you check out this one. That's all from me, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care for now. Goodbye.